This year's MSI brought some of the best jungling we have seen in a very long time. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining what makes these junglers so good, whether you are a solo queue player looking to get an edge on your enemies, or you're just a fan of competitive play, this video is for you. What is up everyone, my name is Coach Leo. I am a challenger jungler and ex-pro player who now coaches full-time. If working with me to achieve your rank goals like many others is something that you're interested in, you can check the links in the description below. So quick PSA before we begin, because we are reviewing essentially the highest level of League of Legends, many of us may be asking, does any of this even apply to us in solo queue? And my answer to that is some things do, and some things don't, which I will explain further during the video. And so to make this video a little bit more applicable to you in solo queue, we're just going to be taking a look at some of the games we've seen at MSI. We're going to be looking at basically the first 3 rounds, and the main fundamentals we're going to be taking a look at is their game plan, so how they path, and also the trinket usage, their tempo, which is camps up versus camps down, their decision making, which is how they play off information, and then lastly, their execution, which is their mechanics. So these are all things that we can actually apply in our own solo queue games. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, jumping into the first game for review here, we have G2 versus Lyon. And game 1 of this game, it was a very kind of slow game. Not really too much happened. But this also really showcases some really good standard fundamentals that we can apply in our solo queue games when it is a game where nothing is happening, right? When nothing is happening, what do you do as a jungler? And I think this game really demonstrates that. Of course, the main things, again, that we're going to be thinking about is the jungler's game plan, the jungler's tempo, and the decision-making, and the execution. So something that was very prevalent, okay, is this thing right here, this ward. Okay, you don't need a ward too deep. You don't need a ward too shallow. All it needs to do is you need to just see the Raptor Pit. Otherwise, you might be getting 15-minute ruled by Kirei, right? He's trying to like dodge your ward here. This is the location. It just needs to see the Raptor Pit. You're just trying to see if they... you're just trying to see if they do Raptors third. And as you can see here, like in this game, if we just look at the game plan first of all, right? Both junglers are making sure that both kind of entrances are warded. So for Inspired's ward here, he's warding to defend his bot side. And for Skumon's ward here, he's looking to track Xin Zhao. And early trinket usage is something that we can really learn from this MSI. Obviously, these wards are nothing new to us, right? But if you can honestly, if you're playing like the blue side jungler here, right? And you can get like your mid laner to ward for you defensively here, and you ward here, that's great. But most of the time, I think going for this ward is pretty easy. This is something I've been teaching a lot of the players that have been coaching recently. You just want to like run through mid like this. You run in here, you place this ward. If the enemy team kind of like blocks you or sees you, then you just like back away. But yeah, these kind of like 4 ward locations, right? Both Raptor Pits, all these 4 wards are all really good places to ward. And this is what you see people literally fighting over. In other games, we may see it. But as you can see here, trinket usage, okay? Try and think about how you want to use your trinket level 1 in your game plan. Tracking the enemy jungle is always a good thing. If you know what he's doing, it's always a really good thing. Okay, so standard clear. Okay, both junglers just clear down. I like to call this, Skumond has Inspired downloaded, whereas Inspired doesn't know where Xin Zhao is, right? So Xin Zhao downloaded, Inspired doesn't know where the Jarvan is. So, as you can see here, some pings going out, some question mark pings. Hey, Xin Zhao is here, whatever. This is something also you can communicate in your solo queue games. I call it the 3 ping. So if you know that Xin Zhao is piling down here, you can go like danger to your bot lane. You can do these kind of pings. They will save your teammates' lives 5 out of 10 games. And so let's take a look at the first decision that Skumon makes here, which is just, he understands that Xin Zhao is going to be pathing towards the bot side, right? Because he's got his path downloaded. And he understands as well here that, he doesn't want to take this flip on the bot crab when the enemy has bot push, when the enemy has a strong fighting jungler like, fighting mid laner like Silas versus Caps. So Skumon is kind of on the scaling side in this game, right? The enemy team has a really strong early game. And so trying to match the enemy's strong early game, right? This could be you too, right? Let's just put yourself in this. Your bot lane's getting pushed in here. Then you have like the Seraphine, that enemy has like the Nautilus or the Pike. That the Xin Zhaos are piling towards the bot side. This is something that you can definitely apply in your own games and be like, oh, okay, let's just insta recall here. You see like players like Agurun do this a lot. Just full clear, insta reset. Have items out of base. In this case, you're not getting punished. We just trade the scuttles. So really, I think really nice stuff out of Skumon in terms of his decision making. And now let's talk a little bit about how the junglers use their tempo. So you can see here that Inspired instantly bases, right? He instantly bases. Obviously, Skumon's already had a base. But the idea of being on tempo is being on your Krugs or on your first camp when they spawn. Okay, so Inspired technically has a little bit extra time here. He has a bit of extra time where he can squeeze in somewhere, which in my opinion, I would have liked to see some wards go out here. You know, I would have liked to see him walk in here, maybe ward here, maybe even walk in here and ward here, because he would still be on time to his Krugs here. However, you can still use your spare tempo to just recall fast and look for maybe a top gank here. So I think what he was thinking here is, okay, how am I going to use my spare tempo? How am I going to maximize my time? Okay, well, I just rate looking for the top gank with my Renekton over going for a deep ward, right? So it's just always, it's not like he's going to sit here and wait for his Krugs. You see that? You see that right here. Look, he's not just waiting for his Krugs. So when you have spare time, camps down, you want to be looking to maximize that. It can be warding. It can be killing a pink ward. It can be ganking for a flash. It's really, really important that you maximize your spare time. Spare time jobs is what I like to call it. Okay, so we see here, Skumon also using his spare time, right? He's also not waiting around for his Gromp to spawn. He's doing spare time jobs too. As you can see here, he's walking in, he's placing a ward. He's, using the vision plant to, see where maybe Xin Zhao is. Right? He's using his spare time as well. So really, really great, just basic jungle fundamentals coming out in this first round. Now, Xin Zhao bases, and as soon as his Krug spawn, as soon as he realizes that the top gank is no longer a guaranteed kill, he's immediately just going back to his Krugs now. And so this is something that's very, very important to understand. Camps up versus camps down time. As junglers, what we're trying to do is we're trying to maximize our time. Okay, your time is a resource, okay, and you need to maximize it. The default game plan is obviously farming, unless, you only skip camps if it's a guaranteed play. But we'll also talk a little bit about weak side, strong side camps in a second, okay? So both junglers, again, you see how both junglers are even here? Both junglers are exactly the same tempo. They are on tempo right now, okay? Being on time for your camps as they spawn is what's called being on tempo. Saint gets a little ward here. The Silas gets a ward. We track Skumon. Good little fundamentals from Skumon, right? Pulling it into the bush. Taking that extra level of precaution. Oh, maybe they look to invade me here, right? These kind of things. Little habits that you can pick up, right? This has nothing to do with competitive. These are just little habits you can pick up and be like, oh, okay, I need to pull it into the bush here because they have mid push here and they're walking in. You see, when you see the enemy mid walking in like this, maybe Xin Zhao and Silas are coming to invade me here. Okay, and then you make little habits and you pull into the bush and then, you're safe. Or you're safer. Okay, so what's interesting about this round as well here is that both junglers are piling the bot, but if you guys have watched my videos before, all right, a lot of people ask me, when do I switch to a sweeper? When do I buy a pink ward? When do I do all these things? So if you have a game plan, let's say the enemy jungler's piling top, or maybe you're just winning bot side, right? Take a look at the tools here, the tools from the enemy team. So in this round, Skumon opted to keep his trinket in the second round. But in this round, Inspired opted to change to sweeper and pink. And if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that this is a great setup for doing dragon, because if the enemy team does not know you're on dragon, and this really applies to your Soloq games, right? Take a look what he did. He swept through this bush and he pink warded here. What does that mean? The enemies have zero vision now of what he's doing. So for the enemy, obviously they can still check, but this was just really, really good use of tools from Inspired, okay? And also take in mind here, he skipped his Gromp. Okay, he skipped his Gromp here because he doesn't want to wait for this Gromp to spawn. He wants to maximize his time. Okay, so take note. He skipped Gromp. When you skip for Dragon, okay, you need to also make sure, this is a little bit to do with competitive, right? He has his team, a little bit to do with it, but it's still good to just, the learning here is the fact that he has Sweeper and Pink. Another interesting thing that I learned as well is like, I always thought to just buy damage, but in 2 games, Inspired actually stacked double Ruby Crystal first buy, which I thought was very, very just an interesting side note, even for myself. I found that very, very interesting. Okay, so Inspired now uses his move. So this is where we talk a little bit about move-based as well. So Inspired now uses more tempo, and now Skumon kind of has the ball, right? He has tempo on Inspired now, right? Because it doesn't mean necessarily that Inspired can't make a play bot. It doesn't mean necessarily that Inspired can't go mid to counter this gank. But Inspired will lose something, right? If he goes mid and nothing happens, he'll lose, he'll be 1 camp behind on Skumon. So technically, yes, Skumon kind of has a move now. So now, once again, Skumon is looking to use his move on the top side, you know, again, look, just walking in here, getting information, placing a ward, you know, being on this crab, that was the trade. It was Dragon for Scuttle. You don't see Inspired here crossing to try and go to the top Scuttle, even though he has a strong Renekton here and these things, right? Move for move. League is a very, very kind of chess. And again, even in solo queue, I will remind you guys, even in solo queue, this is very, very relevant. This kind of idea of, okay, he makes a move, I make a move. He makes a move, I make a move. Tempo's even. Okay, now we can match each other. So now, once again, tempo is even. Even tempo. Look, both junglers on their camps again. And you can see, as soon as Xin Zhao finishes the Gromp here, he's instantly basing, okay? I want to tell you guys, if you guys look for a bot gank here, when your topside camps are spawning, your decision has to be, oh, this is guaranteed, right? This is a guaranteed play. If I look for this bot lane play now, this has to be guaranteed. Okay, and then you think about, okay, they have flashes. You know, I have like a Karma, not the greatest gank setup. So there's something you got to remember. Stay on tempo, keep farming. Keep farming, keep farming, keep farming. Use your spare tempo. Okay, that's like a spare tempo gank there if you had free time. Okay, and the last round we're going to be looking at from this game is the third round. Both junglers are clearing down. And this is the last fundamental I want to talk about, which is the weak side and strong side camp. So as you can see here, right, we can think about both junglers' top side camps as their weak side. Okay, this is the weak side of the map. These are the weak side camps. And both junglers in this round actually showcase the idea that you always want to clear your weak side camps first. So both junglers have made the plan this game, right? Both junglers have said, all right, we're piling towards the bot side because we expect the bot side to be where the action is. We expect the bot side to be where the volatility is. So what the great thing about, you know, clearing your weak side first always, it's kind of like a rule, is that you see both junglers here are skipping now, right? Like you see in this round a little bit that both junglers are okay with skipping their strong side camps because something is happening on the strong side. So clear your weak side ASAP. Don't waste too much time on the weak side of the map. Clear them, because the idea is that you now are always in proximity to the bot side of the map, right? The strong side of the map. The idea is that, okay, both junglers now are here. And now if anything happens, we can react. But even if something isn't a kill here, we can just, oh, wait, we're only like one step away from our camps here. So it's just about where do you want to be in proximity to? That's the idea. Do you want to be in proximity on the bot side? Skipping camps, again, you shouldn't skip camps for no reason. But if something is happening, if there's a bot skirmish here, if there's something happening on the bot side, we are just always in this kind of like bubble where we can go, ooh, wolves, go bot. Ooh, wolves, go bot. Oh, nothing happens, turn around. That's the idea of the weak side and the strong side camps. Always clear your weak side first, spend the minimal amount of weak side time as possible, and then you can maximize your time on the strong side. And so that's what happened here. Now we see both junglers clear again. And then, yeah, actually the last thing that ends up this round is a little bit interesting as well, just in terms of, you know, macro. You know, the Jarvan here decides to kind of do like a bit of a, you know, he goes for grubs and he doesn't match Inspired's play on the bot side. And I think this is mostly, honestly, if you're like the Jarvan here, right? I mean, you just want to try and ping your bot lane. There's no way hands, it's interesting here because basically now, you know, G2 should be giving on the bot side because Inspired is here and their Jarvan is here. And what's interesting here is that both Han Sama dies on the weak side. So this is what we call in competitive like a weak side death. And then Dokla dies on his weak side because, you know, they should kind of assume that Jarvan is top side. So it's just an interesting idea about the weak side and the strong side, just in case, you know, you're just interested in competitive. These are two big no-nos. Dying on the weak side, unless you're just trying to outplay like a 4v1 dive or something, dying on the weak side is a cardinal sin. So yeah, even at the highest level, these players, you know, make these kinds of mistakes. But just in terms of jungling, right, Inspired is making an active decision to dive bot because you need to dive bot because you see Jarvan here. They actually have a ward on Jarvan, which is pretty insane. Whoever placed that ward, maybe it was Inspired. If he placed that ward in order to see and then, because the thing is like doing this dive as Inspired is very, very risky unless they know where Jarvan is. Because what if Jarvan is like somewhere here, right? And they counter. That's why this guaranteed information here is so good. So yeah, this is just an interesting moment. Now let's move on to another set of early game. All right, taking a look at game 3 now of Lyon versus HLE. So this is actually interesting because a few kind of different concepts come up in this early game. Okay, and the main ones I want to look at, right, are the idea about punishing flashes. Again, you see those wards again, very, very relevant. Both teams covering the Raptor pit. There was so many Raptor invades, and there's so many, like, battles going on about seeing where the enemy jungle starts, and even Vi even wards his own Raptors here, which is interesting. We'll be covering a topic about warding somewhere to see someone else's ward. Can be very, very good, because then you know that they're, that's warded, and maybe Vi can like go over this way and gank mid, which we'll see in a future game. But yeah, this early game was pretty nothing. But the big thing that happened here was that bot lane had a big fight, right? They had a big all-in fight, and what's really important about that is that now bot lane have no sums, right? No sums or no flashes like this. Like, there's 3 people that use flash. And so both junglers in this situation and in your Soloq games, when you see a bunch of no flashes, even if it is the Melio versus Lulu lane, someone having no flash for a jungler, your default game plan should kind of be to try and punish that lane's no flash. Okay, that's just like when you see a flash is a very important thing. It's a very big tool in terms of like what makes a gank high percentage. Like, someone having no flash increases the chance of you killing them by a lot, especially when it's champions with no mobility, like Kog'Maw, like Lulu, like Melio, like, not Lucian, obviously he has a little dash, but especially in mobile champions. Okay, so as you can see here, all right, both junglers, Skarner was initially actually looking for the bot gank. He places a ward. He was looking for the bot gank. He realizes he can't do it as well, so he just leaves. So, Inspired's tempo is a little bit bad here, and that is what it is, right? But what's interesting about this VOD is like kind of how the junglers play the next thing. So again, same fundamentals here. Both junglers, they don't find anything. Kanavi is using some spare time here. He uses his spare time to dive mid. So even if it's just to burn a flash here, it's still really, really good. They execute really, really well here. Nothing too much to say about the execution of it. Just a really nice Q flash from Fog. Whenever you're trying to it wasn't for, actually, no, it kind of was from Fog, yeah. Yeah, the execution portion of this is like queuing from Fog. You see how he waits until the last second until the enemy sees. So for Saint right now, he literally doesn't see this at all until it's just on his screen. So that's why he's not ready to flash this combo, because he just doesn't see it coming from the wall. Okay, and so when you use, whether you're throwing a Jarvan EQ here, whether you're throwing a Nidalee Spear here, you always want to use a skill shot from Fog, or you want to use a skill shot on CC. So for example, if we had an Annie here stunning the Victor, you would want to wait and then just queue off the stun. But seeing as we don't have setup in that case, the best kind of secondary thing is just from Fog of War. Again, over this wall maybe, queuing over this wall, don't see it coming. So the execution was very, very nice on this. Now Victor has no flash. And so now that should be a really big target for Kanavi. Okay, so it's all about the flashes thing. Now, Inspired now knows Kog'Maw has no flash, right? And so he immediately makes the play here. He even gets spotted, I'm pretty sure, of a vision, but you can just see him running in here looking for like the bot dive. And now, yeah, this is like competitive. This was like a really great dive from Lyon, but relative to your MMR, relative to your game, just the idea about, okay, Kog'Maw has no flash, it's a very, very easy kill, is something that you should be paying attention to, which is also, of course, why I say, don't mute all, just mute party chat. I have a lot of people that I coach that have mute all. You're kind of handicapping yourself by not having party chat. And if you can see a flash too, you should really try and ping it. Just have that kind of awareness about flashes. Now, what's interesting here is that we just talked about weak side, strong side camps, right? And now a question that I get asked a lot is like, oh, shouldn't Skarner make sure he's pathing towards the bot side? Because the bot side is where the action is happening. The bot side is where he wants to path towards. He wants his top side to be his weak side camps, and he wants his bot side to be his strong side camps. But you need to realize as a jungler that you don't want to force that and be inefficient. So his top side camps were just not ready yet, right? So he just does his Raptors. I think he also did his Raptors because he expected Vi to potentially counter jungle him. But you still need to just put yourself kind of, it's this thing about like, just do whatever's kind of makes sense or is best for you, right? Don't walk to your top side when your bot side camps are up and just walk around waiting for your top side camps, right? Don't force it to that extent. If it makes sense, if you want to part the bot and your top side camps are ready, do that. But as you can see here, he actually just prioritized himself. He's like, okay, Vi can take my Raptors. I need to go defend that. Okay, then I'm going to do Krugs. And even though it feels really bad to go from Krugs to here, he still does it. And then the last thing in this game that I want to review is this idea of move for move. So, Inspired he's in a little bit of tempo debt right now, right? He's in a little bit of tempo debt because he did the bot play back here, right? And he had camps up. He does this play. Now he's recalling. Kanavi, if you look at his tempo, he is 2 camps ahead. Kanavi is 2 camps up on tempo. So Inspired makes a grave error here in this top side, which kind of snowballs really, really hard. And even at the highest level, right, this idea of the enemy has a move, we have a move. Now, of course, there is more nuance to this, right? If his team was winning really hard here, so this is where the nuance of it comes in. This is where you can't take fundamentals. You can think about fundamentals, but you need to still be thinking, okay, well, even though it's move for move, I can actually have another move here because my team is just winning so hard. Okay, so again, it doesn't mean black or white. He makes a move, I cannot make a move. Or, sorry, I make a move, then I cannot make another move again. But typically, you don't want to make move after move after move after move. Typically, okay? Not always. You got to make that, got to have clarity on that. Now, he makes a really great mistake because even if Inspired won this Smite fight, he's not getting level 6, whereas Kanavi is. I'm pretty sure. It would be nice to click on the XP, but he also just had I think as well, like Rumble just had first move. So Inspired was just greedy here. Inspired has a really, really great game plan here. Just clearing his camps, getting level 6, and then actually just repeating on bot again. Now, of course, Inspired is a lot better than I am, but, it doesn't mean that this was a correct play. It's still mistakes were made. And yeah, so that'll be the end of this review. Let's take a look at another game. All right, so in the BLG vs HLE game 1, what we just talked about just before about, obviously this is a little bit more of a competitive thing, right? This is a little bit more about planning with your team. If you play with a duo or something like that, and you have a very, very strong early kind of kill threat or something like that, but this was a really just a great game plan because the ward on Ambessa here is very early, right? This ward is very, very, very early. And of course, yeah, she could be warding to, watch out for a Nefiri level 3 gank top from blue side. This is pretty unlikely though. The reason this ward is here early is because they want to scout the enemy's ward, right? They want to scout where is Renekton going to place his ward. Because if Renekton doesn't, which he doesn't ward, but if we know that Renekton's not warding top, take a look at the Lee Sin here. Right, so this is a really, really great game plan. Okay, the game plan coming out of Jun here, of Kanavi here, is really, really smart. Okay, now they know he has no ward, so they have the all clear. Obviously, as well, other things. 2 fighting top laners, very far pushed up. Execution-wise, Lee Sin is a very, very strong early gank. Level 3 to level 2 timing as well. This is a very typical timing as well for junglers versus top laners. Like, for Bin to be able to get level 3 here, I believe he needs like 2 melees, I think. Yeah, it's about 2 melees here. So it's also a very, very important timing that you need to try and kill them before he hits level 3. Okay, that's also another clear thing here in terms of the execution. But yeah, everything was just played very, very well here. Yeah, the ward especially was something that I really wanted to showcase in this game. And now, you can think about the fact that Kanavi used his move. All right, and then Jun tries to do the same thing here. What's interesting about this play is that, yeah, it's just to do with the wave, right? So the wave is absolutely massive here. Like, Zeus really wants to push this wave in and reset his wave. So the reason why Jun is skipping his camps here, so we talked about camps up versus camps down, right, in the first review. And again, whenever you want to skip camps, you need to have a pretty good reason, right? If he already cleared the wave, if Zeus already cleared the wave here, Jun would and should never skip his camps. But because there is a slight chance here, right? It was very, very slight, but Zeus played really, really well here. He understands as well the fact that the enemy want to try and punish him on this frozen wave. And so he's just playing even more carefully. But I'm telling you in your Soloq games, if you see a wave like this, if you see the enemy top laner pushing like this, if he really wants to get his wave in, maybe Renekton is also like low here, right? Both top laners are really, really low here. This is when you should skip your camps. And this is where you can think, oh yeah, I think this is a guaranteed kill. And even if you go for this gank, right, even like Jun here, even if you go for a gank like that, right, and it fails, you just gotta, you gotta learn from failure a lot of the time as jungle. When you look for ganks, when you're skipping camps, this is especially important when you want to rank up, past like Platinum, Emerald. When you get to like Emerald, Diamond, Master, these concepts are even more important to you to really have a big impact on the game. Okay, so here we go. The next thing in this clip that's really, really impressive is that both junglers, the entire game actually. So Jun has tempo. because Kanavi went for a gank. He used a little bit of his tempo, obviously, to go top as well, but he has tempo. So because Kanavi went for the top gank, right, and then he cleared all his bot side, he is going to be slightly late to his Raptor spawn. And what's very impressive about this play is that Jun actually calls Bard to the Raptor spawn. He understands that, hey, Kanavi used a move, and so if Kanavi is not on his Raptors on the spawn with Karma, we're going to fight. Okay? So this is pretty high level, but for you in solo queue, what this means is that recognizing, hey, I have the enemy jungler downloaded, right? Because we had a ward on Raptors. I have a ward on Raptors here, right? I have a ward on Raptors, so I know the exact spawn timer of Raptors. The Lee Sin uses tempo here. Now he has to go to the bot side. Now he is down tempo. Now he's not going to be on tempo for the Raptor spawn, and I can go and invade it. It's very, very impressive as well. He skips the scuttle. He brings Bard with it. And this would have been his Raptor camp had Zeko not TP mid here. And so they end up just going for the mid play instead as a team. But yeah, that would have been Jun's Raptors here for sure. But they take Orianna Flash instead. Okay, so this is just another example of, how the junglers interact with each other. And then, of course, when Jun realizes that the Raptor thing is over, he immediately takes the Krug, and instantly bases. Why? Because he wants to be on tempo. He's not going to run back in here and flip anything here, right? He's not going to gamble any more moves because now he needs to recall unless it's guaranteed. Unless he can say, I can 100% get the Krugs here, which he can't say that. Also, he's down a buy. So yeah, it's just interesting about tempo and about the moves that these junglers are making. All right, and so in game 3 of the grand final between BLG and HLE, this one is a little bit, again, about the game plan in the early game. This one is, again, this is a little more, towards the, the competitive team aspect of planning. But I still think it is relevant in solo queue because if you're playing like the blue side Nocturne here, right? Nocturne is a notorious, like, quote unquote, full clear champion, right? But I think what's important to understand is that sometimes going kind of out of the norm, right? Thinking about, oh, maybe as Lily, I can just go and start his Raptors here. Maybe as Nocturne, I can just go and start his Raptors here. And then, I can like one-shot his Raptors here and then find him on his red buff. Like, thinking about these little cheeses, yes, some games it might get you into trouble. Some games you might walk over a ward. But I think as a player, to improve on these things, we should not shy away from quote-unquote cheese plays. We should, really, really, the more you do these plays, the better you get at them compared with the enemy jungler. So this is something I would really just, if you see this, if you watch this in competitive, you can apply this in your own games. Just walk in here late, start Raptors. If the enemy starts red, you'll kill the Raptors before he kills red. You'll be level 2, you'll kill him. Or if he doesn't start Raptors, you will just jungle gap. You'll just take all his topside for free. And it's just easy ways that you can abuse your champions. OP level 1, you see a lot of Nefiris, Belveth. You'll see a lot of these champions do this. But again, the element of surprise doing it as a Nocturne, I've seen in coaching, is a really, really big thing that you can do the enemy jungle. People don't expect Nocturne to invade, even though he actually has a really strong level 1 because his Q poke is really strong and because, he has one of the biggest 80 steroids in the game with his Q. And you look at that lifesteal, right? He just healed to full HP. Now, what happens if you're Kanavi here? Okay, let's talk about what should Kanavi do. I'm going to coach Kanavi here, one of the best junglers in the world. So obviously, Kanavi just needed to give it. The idea that the enemy team are such a strong unit here, it doesn't necessarily mean that they hard win, but in early game, even just being grouped here, and obviously they just win really hard. They have anti-stun, they have an OP champ level 1 with Jax. HLE is level 1 with Olaf and Xin, and it's not too bad, but they're just gapped here in terms of early game power. And so what Kanavi needs to do here is he needs to take an L. That's the first thing. Because what's going to happen next, which we'll watch, is even worse. But you need to just take an L here. And if this happens to you in solo queue, right? Enemy jungle takes your topside camps. You either need to immediately, so as they run in here, you need to immediately leave and go and start his chickens. So then by the time he does his chickens and tries to cross to you, you'll be already gone. Or if it's so bad that it's like late invade and you're kind of like just cooked here, you can either try to let him have your chickens run here and smite the blue, or the red. You can either try and do that by sneak attacking. This is obviously a bit of a flip. You may be losing or winning the game in the space of your smite button. If you have a really good smite, you can do this. Or you want to just do your blue side camps and just look for a level 3 gank and just accept the fact that you got jungle, you know, your game is kind of cooked. Obviously, the idea of having a ward here, and the idea of being prepared for the invade. So you're sitting here, you see them all walk in here, you immediately just go like this. This is how you can apply it to your Soloq games, and how you cannot be Kanavi here, and how you cannot get completely and utterly jungle gapped, because again, they had a really great plan here. Jun had a really great plan. He gets his support toward this, and they see Kanavi. He instantly bases here, and even though he lost just his Raptors, so this is also something I would highly recommend you do. If you do invade their red side camps, just immediately base. These days with home guards, it's always really good to just base straight away. Base straight away, and then even if he gets your Raptor camp, you know, ping your support. Obviously, again, there's a lot of collaboration with the team here, right? The support boarding. I'm not gonna say that, you know, your Soloq teammates will do this, but even if this was just you without the Alistar here, right? Let's say you take his topside camps, you recall, and then you think, okay, well, he's probably on my red side, and he probably just did his 3 camps and whatever. There is more invades and these kind of things. There is like many things that we could talk about, but yeah, this is just interesting to see that you can honestly apply it to your own games. At least the invading part, the solo part, the part that you can control. And yeah, it ends up just being, I think this game, when I was watching it, ended up being a little bit rough for Kanavi. Jun snowballs top, double ganks top, takes Scuttle. His bot side is like permanently covered by his team. That is one thing that you can also do, right? When you feel like, okay, well, I've used extra tempo on the top side, there is a chance for Zinza to attack my bot side. Okay, Annie, can you ward this for me? Alistair, can you ward this for me? That's something that you can also apply in your own games. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly show the early game here and the invade stuff and the cheese and some stuff that you can also apply into your own games. And now for our final VOD, we're taking a look at game 5, BLG vs HLE. This was just honestly a really impressive early game from BLG as a team. But there are some things we can take from it as mere solo queue players and students of the game. And so the first thing we see here is that Kanavi tries to go for a level 1. And a lot of this game was about your team, or kind of like getting something back for jungle losing something. And I'll explain that more. But the idea in this game is that like Kanavi goes for an invade here. And sometimes how this applies to your game, right, is like sometimes you will just get like 5 men invaded at your red buff. Okay, I'll make a really exaggerated example. If you get 5 men invaded at your red buff, right? I know it is solo queue and it does suck, but you just got to realize that like you should gain something somewhere else on the map. And now whether or not, you know, we're gonna say, you know, okay, my team's not gonna abuse that fact, like BLG will or like HLE will, but the point is that okay, we, you know, the Aurora here uses a resource here to defend Jun's Raptors. However, Aurora now loses lane really hard, right? That's the idea. Okay, they 5 men invaded me on my red buff, but now I have like winning lanes, right? That's the idea. And so having this acceptance, Kanavi's like, all right, cool. You have this and I have this. And that's a big part of what happened in this game that BLG played really well. I think Knight kind of just smurfed it because he didn't lose lane like super hard. He still is losing lane. But you know, okay, now Jun pays him back because he's like up tempo or something, right? On the game. This early game was a little bit weird, to be honest. But the main thing I want to look at is when things get kind of back on track, right? Both jungles are clearing. Kanavi uses his spare time here. And this is where the big thing comes in and where BLG play so well. It actually snowballs like crazy here. And you can do the same thing in solo queue. So Kanavi goes for a play bot that Jun cannot defend. Like, he has no camps up here. He could sack himself, but this is the idea of the whole team understanding. Like, you know, this is for all solo queue players. You know, obviously in solo queue, our team doesn't care that we get a Raptor camp here and they're still going to die here. But I want to explain the macro of it anyway. So BLG give here, right? Just like before, you know, earlier we watched Han Sama die in this exact same situation, not giving the wave. And BLG say, okay, you have this, we give here. But later on in the game, we gain. And how do we gain? Okay, so for you as a solo queue player, okay, you just go and look for what you can take. Okay, simply like this. Enemy jungle shows bot ganking. He started Raptors. I have his path downloaded. So I'm now going to take his Raptor camp because I have information that he can't be here to defend it, right? So we take the Raptor camp as Jun. And as we just play this game out further, again, also, just because the enemy jungle ganks spot, just because the enemy jungle ganks mid, it doesn't mean you have to immediately retaliate, okay? Your retaliation can come, you know, when the time is right, okay? So just take a look at Jun now has just one camp. It's just one camp advantage, right? But what this means is that off this raptor camp right here, right, after he takes this raptor camp, you can still see he's just farming. Now he has level 6 advantage and he has smite advantage over Kanavi here, okay? So just from that bot respect, just from the enemy not getting something bot, we can see that this snowballs into Jun getting the dragon, right? And having level 6 and having kind of this, you know, if the enemy team contests us here, we have Vi level 6 versus Pantheon level 5. And what was so great about this play is that, you know, they're bowling give, but then they end up actually, you know, the team gets something back. And again, I know that this doesn't apply too much to Soloq, but it is good to think, you know, if we get, you know, if the enemy top laner TP's bot and we were ganking bot and we can just get out, then our top laner hits top tower for free. And it's a game of resources, right? It's a game of exchanging resources. They use a TP here. We respect. Aatrox gets to hit top tower. So yeah, that was just the main thing I wanted to look at here. They end up going for a bot play. Kind of, you know, Jin kind of messes it up a little bit, but the team ends up getting the kills back and boom. So, you know, just a great sequence, right? From BLG, respecting, getting the play back. And then, of course, instantly here, you can see the last little point I want to make here is that Jun, he insta-bases in the bush. Literally, like, the second that he literally gets into this bush here, Q, base. And this is something that I want to really tell you guys is, like, when you're in a side lane, when you're in side lane or when you're deep in enemy jungle, basing is, like, always good. Because then you can just home guard out of the map. You can, like, kind of, like, assess the chessboard of the map. And you can figure out, like, okay, where's my next move going to be? Am I going to run to the bot scuttle here? Am I going to run to my blue? You can see him as well pinging here. He's like pinging question marks on his blue because he's saying, oh, like Pantheon should also be ISO bot now. Now Pantheon should be trading, right? Now Pantheon should be taking, like, just like how I took the Raptors, now Pantheon should be looking to take something. Okay, and Pantheon does look to take something, but he just takes the scuttle and it moves on to, or he decides to take a grub instead. And then it moves on to obviously a grub fight in which Jun gives. Okay, he actually gives. So he actually made a play on bot side, but he gives. Why does he give? Doesn't have ult, right? So if you're playing like an ult-based champion as well, it's okay to give. It is okay to give even after you just made a good play. And you can also kind of, it also kind of comes back to, okay, we made a play bot, we did drag, we did a bot play, we used our ults, we used our resources, we used our flash. Now it's kind of their turn. Okay, this is still something that's very, very relevant in your games. And that's where we'll kind of wrap up this video. I don't want to go, I could probably do this all day, right? But we'll have to end it here so the video is not hours long. If you guys were able to learn something from this video, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, I would really like to know in the comments below so I can make more things like this. If you haven't already, drop a sub. If you are watching my content, a lot of you are not subscribed, so that would really help me out a lot. Consider dropping the like button as well. Hit the like button. And yeah, I'll see you guys all in future vids. Peace.